As the air war between Iran and Israel escalates and US President Donald Trump weighs in whether Washington will join the ongoing war, top Iranian leadership is swiftly making preparations for a wide range of outcomes. Reports indicate Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, has instructed his nation's assembly of experts, the clerical body responsible for appointing the supreme leader, to choose his successor. Khamenei has reportedly picked 3 names and provided it to the experts to narrow down on the top pick. Ayatollah Khamenei's son, Mojtaba, also a cleric and close to the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, who was rumored to be a front-runner, is reportedly not among the candidates. Iran's former conservative president, Ibrahim Raisi, was also considered a front-runner before he was killed in a helicopter crash in 2024. The process of appointing a supreme leader usually takes months, with clerics picking and choosing from their own lists of names. However, with the nation now at war, the Iranian officials say the Ayatollah Khamenei regime wants to ensure a quick, orderly transition and to preserve his legacy. In the Islamic Republic, the supreme leader has enormous powers. He is the commander-in-chief of the armed forces, as well as the head of the judiciary, the legislature, and the executive branch. The supreme leader is also the senior-most guardian of the Shiite faith. Amid the ongoing war, Iranian officials say they are fighting on a second front, with covert Israeli operatives and collaborators scattered on the ground across Iran's vast terrain, and the fear of infiltration among top Iranian ranks. Reports suggest Iran's Ministry of Intelligence announced a series of security protocols telling officials to stop using cell phones or any electronic devices to communicate, issuing directives for the public to report suspicious individuals and vehicle movements. Iranian leadership has swiftly replaced officials killed in Israeli strikes within a week's time, showcasing that Iran has a cause of action to counter threats so that its administration is functional in times of war. Burzin Wagma is from the Center for Iranian Studies, SOAS, University of London. Wagma is also an Iranian studies expert. He's now joining us live from London. Wagma, thanks for your time and welcome. Ali Khamenei has instructed the clerical body responsible for appointing the next supreme leader to choose his successor. What might have prompted the supreme leader to announce that? And there are critics who say Trump and Netanyahu want a controllable and not free Iran.
That the very fact that Khamenei has nominated 3 names and forwarded those to the Assembly of Experts, the Majlis-e Khobregan, which is the apex body which has an 8-year term consisting of 88 members of senior Shia clerics, to consider one of the said 3 names in case he is either incapacitated or is killed, and that fear is uppermost in his mind and that of the senior command currently as we speak. It is this and the question of survival, sheer survival of the Republic, 45 plus years on, that led him to take this swift, expedient decision. A decision which would have otherwise only occurred had he died in harness and office. And he is 86 and has been ailing for quite some time through cancer, which has been in remission. And the succession would have taken place per Articles 5 and 109 of the Constitution, which indeed would occur should that something were to happen to him. And he is very much now, although nominally in charge, is very besieged, in that he is not at his residence, regular residence, but somewhere in hiding in a bunker in northeast Tehran. He is not using electronic equipment or communications, even with his senior chain of command, but only through a trusted aide. And the Supreme National Iranian Security Council, as well as the Ministry of Intelligence, has issued orders yesterday, Friday, that all top military commanders and senior government ministers and officials, the top brass of the regime, ought desist using electronic equipment, including cell phones, smartphones, and the like, and has urged them to go underground as well. And they are literally underground as we speak, residing in order to avoid being killed. Khamenei has concomitantly also nominated certain other individuals down the chain of command, military officials for the IRGC as well as the armed forces, should that they were to be taken out by Israel as well. So these are the two new developments that are considerably novel. And from the perspective of Iranian studies, Eric, what is interesting for me and my colleagues in the field is that for a long time, Mujtaba, the son in question, was deemed the heir apparent. And it was an open secret in Tehran as well as Iranian studies circles. The fact that he has not nominated him goes to show that he is desperate not to perpetuate ideas of nepotism, which in any case were doing the rounds prior to the Iran-Israel airstrikes and conflict. But he's clearly dropped Mujtaba for that reason.
Wagner, let's talk about another issue. Trump supporters are divided on whether to attack Iran or not. But without preempting or making presumptions, why do you think the U.S. moved two B-2 stealth bombers from their base in Missouri? They could go to Guam or they could go to Diego Garcia in the Indian Ocean, which takes them much closer to Iran. But what do you think this move by the United States signifies?
It could signify that the U.S. is either bolstering its defenses, which are already in place with 40,000 U.S. personnel at 19 bases across the Gulf, the Arabian Gulf as we speak. And Eric, please remember, even as these bombers left and were over Guam airspace, last one heard of, the USS Carl Vinson is already in the North Arabian Sea. And the Nimitz-class destroyers are already heading out from the Indo-Pacific. So even that ought to be factored in. Now, the question is this: what would one infer? It is my estimation that a hiatus with President Trump leaving all on tenterhooks, including his MAGA supporters of isolationists who are dead set against any entanglements in any sort of wars, be it in the Gulf or elsewhere in the world. These are die-hard isolationists, as we do know. The question is, a pause, a hiatus on the part of DC is actually helpful in that it helps to enhance one's intelligence garnering capabilities during a fast-moving crisis as this, because Washington would be interested in repositioning its options and also finding out and exploring what Tehran would do next in terms of repositioning its military assets, which are considerably degraded, but also its network of its air defense network and ballistic missile units, or what is being whittled away very rapidly by Israel. And of course, then there's the question of intelligence failure of Herculean proportions on the part of the Iranian regime that has led to where they are today. And also the Supreme National Council, I must mention, issued a warning yesterday to prospective traitors that you better hand in yourselves to the regime by Sunday morning, or else we will hunt you down and make a horrible example out of you. Because obviously Khamenei and the others know that the regime has been penetrated to the very highest echelons, which explains Israel's stunning success. Otherwise, none of this would have come to pass.
All right. Buzin Wagner is from the Center for Iranian Studies, SOAS, University of London. Wagner, we'll have to leave it there. Thank you for talking to us today.
Thank you very much for having me.